sermons, people will be preaching to you, people will be feeding you with kingdom life. So please tell a friend to tell a friend that on the 23rd we are holding a Thanksgiving, 2 years in service. Thank you so much. Meet you there. Love you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tumhire Shiba. I call upon everyone, come join us on the 23rd of this month. Come for the Thanksgiving of GNTV. We call upon everybody. Call your sister, call your brother, call your friends, call your uncles. You're highly welcome. Come join us in everything that we shall be doing. We have music, we have praying, everything. You're highly called upon. Thank you.
The guest of honor will be Michael Toyota Kaguta, Chairman or Team Chairman, MK Project. Come and join us. We celebrate together. Thank you.
Yeah, the ceremony is still ravaging. So guys, what is coming through here at King of Kings starts at exactly 9, just like they have said. Moving on to other stories, educationalists in the Antony districts have been urged to be patriotic and professional if they are to solve the current issue of school strikes and the
Chairman yansuubiza okunsiba Chairman Yosefali olw'abaana okutaayaya mu kibuga abatasoma neŋŋamba nga tanaba kansooka ennoonyereze lwaki agenda kunsiba olw'abaana abataayaya mu kibuga nga sibaage naye nga naye yali mutuufu kubanga nali sikoze mulimu gwange sebo RDC enamala okunoonyereza nezijja mu ofiisi yo nenkuubulya lwaki abaana bataayaya mu kibuga. Amasomero aga gavumenti tegakyali ga gavumenti sebo ba RDC ate ga private okusinziira ku bisale ebiri mu masomero ago okusingira ddala aga secondary. Nanoonyezaawo enjawulo nenoonyaako ku ssomero lya Ian nga ssente ze lisasula n'aga gavumenti kumpi ze gakolaki kintu ekyo kigeneraliikiriza nenga kati gavumenti enjawulo yeeruwa. Gavumenti kimanyi nti eyambako abazadde
etagisa muki masomero obuturu balibimbirwa gavumenti. Omwana alina okwambala yunifoomu, omwana alina okuba n'ebitabo, omwana alina okuba n'obukalaamu. Bw'abeera mwana muwala olina okumanya nti atuuse mu myaka egy'okugenda mu nsonga, ebyo byonna n'okola ki n'obiproviding. Ate omwana alina okufuna ekyemisana. Era kyova olaba nti in most cases bw'oba ng'ompulira era ngenda ngamba abakyala nti muzaale abaana bemusobola si abasajja. Abasajja nabo bafuna message eyo. Lwaki ngamba mpa message eyo na yekamala byo tunabadde mu lukiiko ab'empumude ab'amabala we muli they are not represented. Naye n'osanga nga baasa kati yagenda mu classroom mu dormitory okwasiza empisa. Baasa yagenda mu classroom ne dormitory okukola ki okwasiza empisa. Jukira talina training ey'obusomesa. Training gy'alina yakubala ki abantu ffenna kati abali the community we have in our schools, members of the community, be it teachers, other staff, support staff, tumulowooza nti bonna balina omutima gw'eggwanga. Kasita alaba loophole n'abaza era alina okubba ki essomero kyekyaguddeko ki. So njagala okubagamba nti ebintu ebyo tuddeyo twechecking how are we security wise in our schools.
BRMS basic requirements and minimum standards. And every teacher knows. It is good people who are not in our profession are the ones talking about it, but they are just reminding us, we who are in the profession. So my colleagues, education managers, let's implement what we have been told and what we know, because everybody here who is a teacher knows professionalism, minimum standards, you know.
And we are confident about our vision as the Antony. had three catchwords. One was on wealth, because we want every person to have money. You know, we are transforming from subsistence to money economy. So Leantonde's vision has three catchwords. One is wealth. Number two is productive. You cannot have money when you're not productive. And lastly is health. You cannot make money, you cannot be productive unless you are healthy. So I'm also challenging you to go with those three catchwords for the Antonio district. Half of the money, you know, planned for. What does that mean? It means we must use these resources we have sparingly. And we have to be innovative. We all are aware that the economy is not doing well, and we may not know what will happen tomorrow. But we are here discussing about patriotism. When you are talking about patriotism, you are looking about love for your country. You are looking at loyalty. You need to take some time and read about Public Service Act. When I saw some of your teachers missing, I just said, I think they don't read laws. You know? So, as patriots, you cannot give up. You must work and ensure that you offer services. In this way,
would have been told. That's what is my research and even my experience. Because I was there for 15 years, oh God. Person who can talk in board of governors, the interests of the public, that one is a problem. It's a potential reform for the school, and therefore cannot be delegated for information shared. And when he comes, the information remains between the teacher and the delegate. I don't want to give you my personal experience, but I know it. Transfer the protest, giving the teacher to dine her own movie or his own movie. When you say a teacher complaining about teachers, teachers are not a problem. It is the teacher who has failed to play her role or his role. Because how can you fail to contain a situation in a school of teachers also professionals like you? We don't have a situation where we train a teacher. Every teacher can become a teacher, and the teacher can become a teacher, depending on the experience and the chances of life. But when a teacher takes it on, he thinks he's the custodian of knowledge and of every property in that school. You need to know that it's teamwork that builds the school. Because it's a system. You have the teachers down there, you have the students located, with their leaders also, then you go to the parents who are the majority. And this person says, I know it all. He can levy the amount of money he wants by manipulating the board or the PTA. And when you see these PTAs and the boards making errors, then you know that the secretary who the teacher is the problem. Because the eyes of a school is within the teacher, who is entrusted by the board, who is entrusted by the PTA, who is entrusted by the minister, and even the president. Like I tell you that the teacher has the powers like the president. Judge, you said it. That I have the power I have, and like that one, the teacher. Maybe that the teacher can kill a school or can make a school. No, because they're just there to they're figureheads. They're not delegated, they're not empowered, they don't make decisions. What sort of a teacher are you if you act like that? If you go and you go with all authority. I told you a situation where the teacher would go with all authority, would make decisions. When he comes, he waters them down without consultations. The students will wait for him at the stage. When he has arrived, they say, what was it? Therefore, we cannot train our targets. So we are in a circle with the district coordinator and shared. Some of the facilitators include me, include the CAM, include the patron coordinator, or my dignity, or the DISO, or DPC, depending on the location.
We shall be on conducting joint.
We can do that. But if you have the people stop and you think you know it's more, at the end of the day, you shall be there, you will be here, and you will beat the circumstances. But I will verify that we have this time so that we can see how we can solve some of these things. I was working through the
Thank you, report for that report. Moving on to other stories, Uganda confirmed an outbreak of Ebola virus disease in Muwende district, center of the country, following the death of one patient. The confirmed case is a 24-year-old man, passed away on Monday.
Uganda confirmed an outbreak of Ebola virus disease in Uwende district center of the country following the death of one patient. The confirmed case, a 24-year-old man, passed away yesterday. He lived in Muwende district, located 150 kilometers west of the capital Kampala. Speaking to the media, the permanent secretary of the Ugandan Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, gave further details. When he reported the hospital, he had the symptoms of suspected to be Ebola.
When he reported to the hospital, he had the symptoms suspected to be of COVID. The patient was Ebola. He was isolated. The sample was taken on 18th of September. The results came back yesterday evening. They confirmed the Ebola, the Sudan strain.
He was isolated and the sample was taken on the 18th of September. The results came back on Monday evening to confirm the Ebola, the Sudan strain. It's unknown how the victim became infected, but he was initially treated for other illnesses, including malaria, when he sought care in his hometown.
Same village. Earlier, we got information regarding the community deaths, which our epidemiologists went on ground to ascertain. Unfortunately, they were not confirmed, they were buried. However, the pattern is it was within the same family, 3 adults and 3 children.
It's been more than a decade since Uganda's last record of Sudan strain infection, according to World Health Organization. The confirmation follows an investigation by the National Rapid Response Team of suspicious deaths that have occurred in the district this month. In the same village earlier, they have got information regarding the community deaths, which our epidemiologists went on the ground to ascertain, the permanent secretary said. Fortunately, they were not confirmed, they were buried. However, the partner was within the same family, 3 adults and 3 children.
I want to assure the public and the international community that Uganda is well known for handling epidemics. And therefore, we have capacity, we have the skills, we have what it takes to contain this Ebola. And so we want to ask to stay calm and let you know that we are going to handle this epidemic precisely.
According to World Health Organization, Uganda, 8 suspected cases are currently receiving care in a health facility. Dr. Diana Twine urged the population to remain calm, hailing Uganda's expertise, saying they have capacity, they have skills, they have what it takes to contain this Ebola. So they want to ask the public to stay calm and let them know that they are going to handle the epidemic disease.
In a way of preventing the spread of the virus disease. The government said that yesterday in a listening.
In order to avoid contraction of Ebola disease, this is what you have to know. The burial of persons who have died of Ebola or are suspected to have succumbed to the disease should be buried by the health workers or under their supervision to stem spread of the virulent disease, the government said. In a listing of do's and don'ts, Dr. Diana Twine, the Health Minister Permanent Secretary, urged Ugandans to strengthen hygiene practices, including continuing with regular washing of hands with soap, as they have done to guard against COVID-19 infection. She, in line with the protocols issued on Ebola prevention by the World Health Organization, asked the uninfected to avoid contact with body fluids like saliva, urine, blood, sweat, vomitus, and stool of Ebola virus disease patients. The Permanent Secretary, who announced confirmation of Ebola in the country hours after the news broke out, called for placement of hand-washing facilities, many removed or abandoned after the threat of COVID-19 diminished at all public premises throughout the country. Epidemiologists believe the Ebola Sudan strain in Uganda, which is different from Zaire variant subsisting in the Democratic Republic of Congo, transmitted to humans from wildlife, with monkeys, apes, forest antelope, and porcupines and bats reservoirs. United Nations Health Watchdog, World Health Organization advises those who get in contact with such animals, whether during scientific research or hunting, to wear gloves or other appropriate protective clothing, and eaters must cook the meat thoroughly. World Health Organization, based on analysis of ongoing research and consideration by its advisory group, advises Ebola survivors to have protected sex for at least a year until their semen tests negative twice for the virus. Experts who spoke at yesterday's press conference in Kampala, during which Permanent Secretary Diana Twine confirmed the Ebola outbreak, asked health workers caring for patients to be vigilant for Ebola-like symptoms and refer suspect cases. Prevention: you have to avoid physical contact with anyone who shows signs and symptoms of Ebola. Wash hands and maintain good hand hygiene at all times. Avoid contacts with body fluids such as urine, blood, sweat, vomitus, and stool. Avoid handling dead bodies suspected to have Ebola-like symptoms. Institute hand-washing facilities in all public places. Avoid contact with fruit bats, monkeys, apes, forest antelopes, and porcupines, and the consumption of their raw meat. Avoid contact with semen from a man who has recovered from EFD, Ebola virus disease, until testing shows that the virus is gone from his semen. Avoid contact with items that may have come in contact with an infected person's blood or body fluids, such as bedding, needles, and medical equipment. For GNTV, Maldad Matthias.
Student of Diploma in Civil Engineering at Uganda Technical College, Bushenyi, committed suicide after losing 2 million shillings on a football bet. Monge Mustafra, 23-year resident of Rutimbara City, was doing his industrial training from Bara City by the time of his
first-year student of Diploma in Civil Engineering at Uganda Technical College Bushenyi has committed suicide after losing 2 million shillings to football bet. Muwonge Muzafal, 23 years, as a resident of Ruti in Mbarara City, was doing his industrial training from Mbarara City by the time of his death. According to Francis Muhirwe, the Dean of Students at Uganda Technical College Bushenyi, the deceased used his mother's 1 million acquired from a financial institution as a loan meant for her sister's school fees, which he placed on some Premier League games at Fortbet in Ruti town over the weekend. And fortunately, he had placed his football bets rightly, thus hit a jackpot of 2 million Muhire added that as a way of persuading the deceased, the betting company requested him to press 2 million he had won earlier on some games in order to win an extra 100 million, which he did. He revealed that Muwonge committed suicide yesterday night in Ruti after losing 2 million in a football bet. The UTC's Bushenyi student was found hanging in a garage yesterday in Ruti, Mbarara City. Mr. Muhire said Ruti police swung into action and took the body to Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital for a post at his ancestral home in Ruti, Mbarara City. The dean described the deceased as a student who was well behaved with no bad record. Hilary Ainomjsha, a close friend doing civil engineering at Uganda Technical College Bushenyi, said he was shocked by the tragic death of his colleague and described him as a person who was down to us. He said that Muwonge was a football fan who could do anything for sports. By the time we feel this story, police were yet to issue the comment on the incident.
Then omukuruga yokanda ho niho yayihanikire ubwo kugira ngo akatera za miliyoni zigana yagarzamo urwo njyana rugambo runje rwakwenda ubanza rukazana kagura wundi tukarufunage ninga tukazom betting tukamanya garyamazimo yabe yarire akagarzamo.
Innocent Nwamanya, GNTV News at Toro.
This is GNTV, releasing life.
Management ya Good News Television hamwe na Bishop Silas na Nicola Tayebwa nibeta abantu mwena okuja mukoro kusima mukama no kujaguza myaka ebiri ombuhereza manyari kaba bitorobi niyo nshonga turi kusima mukama turi kugira ngo eyo beneza nahanewe ebyo byokwezi abana bishiti bikoze kwa mwenda 2022 ukutandikana shashe tuzakasheshe King of Kings Church kamukuzi omurembo rwambarara naburawe utaterwa beshongozi bawe ba presenter wabakundwa akano mugenyi mukuru wekitinisa Michael Wajira wabingi bari kumanyaka Toyota na team MKU
zakugezaho ukuri kubashika reba ngashikiriza yejana nabane no kushemerwa nene.
Before against one, they'll get two. They're that kind of team, and maybe it'll come now. It won't. Homos.
Yes, abarabi ba GNTV mwena mwebale nyo kwabika nti muwagira GNTV ne sport zone. Era kuzomwezi 23 chetwita Thanksgiving on King of Kings. Tujja kuzamya myaka ebiri ejobuweleza aba GNTV nenga mwena abawagizi ba GNTV abagoberezi ba Slick Simon Jara bagazi ba sport zone mwena tubayita muje tugende maso kwabika tujja kuza emyaka ebiri muweleza ne GNTV. Ebirgo bingi nyo tuyina abayimba benjawulo kwenga buli kimu kyonna. On that very day, it is going to be a very massive. My fans from Isingiro, abari Eshema, abari Fort Portrait, abari mu Central, abari mu Northern Uganda, abari mu Eastern Uganda mwena, abari mu kibuga kya Feshemba ya mwena tubayita muje enakuzumwezi 23 which is this very Friday. Enakuzumwezi 23 akuru okutano no King of Kings Church muje tugende maso nokwabika ntujja kuza emyaka ebiri eja GNTV nga tuli mu buwereza no muwerezawo amanyidwanga Slick Simon Jr.
Wins out of two. It's an extraordinary finish.
Bless you.
Yeah, abareba GNTV nkabutosha amazina ni Peter Mpaka ukorwa mu kibina cyituye cyo buhagizwe People Power National Unity Platform kandi the pastor y'umuhereza umuhawe animbakira umukusima wa GNTV TV yitu eyamakuru marunji ni TV yo 5 Good News
news abandi bimeza breaking news TV abandi bimeza continuous negative news CNN konka hatwine GNTV muri GNTV uwa katano ebiro abinabishatu byo mwenda tukuba twine kusima kwa mani nimbashaba muje tusina hanga abo myaka ibiri yitwamara umuhereza nanye nk'umuntu niza kubandu tusime tusemererwe Bible yajyanye n'ibende bikabiri 10 biyona Yesu yabikiza konka kimwe icyo cyagarukire kusima reka tuje tusime mukama ruhanga atukore kimwe ibyo kutangaza don't miss, don't fail to be there uwa katano ibiro abinabishatu byo kwa mwenda. God bless you.
Mazina ganje ninye Kabagambe Julian, the regional mobilizer wa Western Region. Ninyeta abarebi ba GNTV okwijja mu kusima ebirabere na bishatu orwa katano ninyeta abakyara abashija abagurutsi abana mwena nimbakira omukusima nije Yesu abakire Yesu abashagatire Yesu abakize Yesu abasasire abakurakuranye abasumurure umuzina ya Yesu.
Izina ndibingana Geoffrey umushongozi wanyu umuri kumanyanka ekibari nintwaro mu gishogu kubeta mwena abahurikiza kandi abarebi ba GNTV aha kusima ruhanga aha bwa TV yitonongi eturkweta GNTV aha King of Kings ebiro 23 umukozi wo kwa mwenda mwije mwena sumirerwe nimwe sime ruhanga mukama abantu erumusha
Mukama nimbireta hori akuba hori nibibasika Mukama simuriyo nandeba mazina niketi mukiza bya Mukama wakweshongorire byeshongoro nyamwinji ka Mukama nimbireta hori amagara nagacira amagana nebindi nimukira kubireba ha GNTV ninyongera kweta buri mowena abantu mwena nimbeta akusima kwa GNTV eriyo nejaguza kanesima rahanga bwe myaka ebiri ombuhereza mwije aha King of Kings Church aha rwa katano ebirabiri na bishatu byo kwezo ko kwa mwenda nitwija kuba turi yabeshongoza nanye kare mukagamba ninyija kuba ndiyo nitwija kweshongora byeshongoro bitu byone ninjija kukweshongora.
This is GNTV, releasing life.
Moving on, Palisa district is battling with a fresh outbreak of scabies in villages adjacent to shores of Lake Lemwa. The disease, which manifests with severe itching, has left.
Palisa district is battling a fresh outbreak of scabies in villages adjacent shore of Lake Lemwa. The disease, which manifests with severe itching, has left more than 250 people in Sambia village, Kasoda sub-county, admitted. Other affected villages include Nachubakilo, Nachibuya Bukenya A, Najenet 2, and Nachitende. Mr. Emma Okilo, the health assistant in charge of Kasodo, yesterday attributed the outbreak to poor hygiene and sanitation. Mr. Okilo, however, said the health team is sensitizing the communities about the importance of keeping hygiene to reduce the spread. He said the disease could have come from another area, but poor hygiene and sanitation has fueled its spread in the communities. Dr. Geoffrey Mulekwa, the district health officer, urged the communities to apply locally made medicine and avoid sharing clothes. The Kasodo LC3 chairman, Mr. Ronald Kolili, said the government should support communities to fight the disease. These cases were first reported in June, but they have continued to soar in a related development of tuberculosis, leprosy in Butembo. He said the most affected sub-counties are Butembo Rural, Kakoro, Kadokorene, Maizimanzi, and Petete. Majority of residents still relate these diseases to witchcraft, but the district has embarked on massive sensitization
Majority of residents still relate these diseases to witchcraft, but the district has embarked on massive sensitization to create awareness in the community. His Budaka counterpart, Dr. Elisa Muranwa, said the district has recorded 26 leprosy cases since January, with only 2 people still under admission. He attributed the upsurge of the disease to lack of information, saying people have not understood the symptoms. Za Asimwe, GNTV News.
Along the country border with northern Ethiopia in what appears.
Tigrayan authorities say Eritrea has launched a full-scale offensive along the country's border with northern Ethiopia in what appears to be an escalation of last month's renewal of fighting. Tigray spokesperson Gatagwei Reda said yesterday the Eritreans are fighting alongside Ethiopian federal forces, including commando units, as well as allied military. A humanitarian worker in the northern Ethiopian town of Adigrat said that Eritrean forces were shelling the surrounding areas. The U.S. envoy to the Horn of Africa told reporters yesterday that Washington has been tracking Eritrean troop movements across the border, and Mike Hammer condemned the movements of Eritrean soldiers in northern Ethiopia. The full-blown entry of Eritrea into the Tigray war looks set to complicate any peace efforts between Tigrayan leaders and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who mended ties with Eritrea as soon as he rose to power in 2018. Za Asimwe, GNTV News at 12.
Tunisia's 81 after the House is awaiting on Monday and opposed momentum of his questioning. He was eventually cautioned over an alleged involvement in sending Hadi's militant to Syria and Iraq.
Tunisia's 81-year-old opposition leader Rachid Ghannouchi appeared yesterday before an anti-terror unit after hours in the waiting on Monday and a postponement of his questioning. He was eventually questioned over an alleged involvement in sending jihadist militants to Syria and Iraq. The supporters of the Ennahda chief chanted freedom and slogans as they gathered in a show of solidarity. The party spokesperson denounced a willingness to ill-treat Ghannouchi's throughout the interrogation process. One of the deputies of the party, Ali, was also questioned and was held at the headquarters of the anti-terror unit late Monday. In a statement released overnight, Ennahda denounced the interrogation as a flagrant violation of human rights. Citing one of his lawyers, Reuters agencies reported Rayed will appear before a judge today after the 2011 overthrow of a long-time president Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. Thousands of Tunisians joined the ranks of jihadist organizations, most notably the Islamist State group in Syria and Iraq, but also in neighboring Libya. Ennahda played a central role in Tunisia's post-Ben Ali politics until President Kais Saied began his power grab in July last year, followed by a controversial referendum which granted unchecked powers to his office.
Moving on to other stories, Nigeria's anti-drug agency sealed a record of 1.8 tons of cocaine valued for shillings 278 million.
Nigeria's anti-drug agency says there a record of 1.8 tons of cocaine valued at $278 million at a Lagos warehouse in what it described as likely the country's largest bust ever. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said 5 people, the warehouse manager and 4 drug barons, including one profiled as a Jamaican, were arrested in the connection with the drugs. The suspects were members of an international drug syndicate the agency has been trailing since 2018. The agency said the drugs were found in a secluded estate in the Ikorodu area of Lagos at the time when the cartel was trying to sell them to buyers in Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world. The drugs were stored in 10 travel bags and 13 drums. In a statement published along with photos of the suspects and the drugs, the agency said, describing the arrests and seizures was a historical blow to the drug cartels and a strong warning that they will all go down if they fail to realize that the game has changed. Drug seizures have been rising in West Africa in last year, indicating that traffickers have made the continent a hub to move their illegal products between South America and Europe. Za Asimwe, GNTV News at 12.
Reporter for that report from rising prices is worrying planet and deadly conflict of the global state affairs. Speaking Tuesday on the 77th session of the UN General Assembly, the Senegal President and the chairperson of the African Union.
From rising prices to a warming planet and deadly conflicts, the global state of affairs is dire. Speaking yesterday on the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Macky Sall, the Senegalese president and the chairperson of the African Union, insisted on the threat of terrorism. Terrorism gaining ground on the continent is not just an African matter. It is a global threat that falls under the primary purview of the Security Council of United Nations, the guarant of the collective security mechanism under the UN Charter. During this first in-person General Assembly since 2020, Sall also reiterated his call for a better representation of the continent on the world stage. He said, "We would like to remind the members of our request for the African Union to be granted a seat within the G20 so that Africa can at least be represented where decisions are taken that affect more than 1,400,000 Africans." Lift sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe was another plea of the Senegalese president. The African Union chairperson said that Africa does not want to be the breeding ground of a new Cold War, alluding to the pressure mounting on the continent's leaders to choose sides over the war in Ukraine. Many African countries depend heavily on grain imports from Russia and Ukraine. Amid market shortages, Russia's foreign minister has blamed the West for rising food prices. Western leaders, meanwhile, have accused the Kremlin of using food as a weapon and waging an imperial-style war of conquest. Some observers have called the efforts by Russia and the United States the strongest lobbying company since the Cold World War, when the continent was rocked by proxy wars as the US and Soviet Union vied for influence. Among those staying neutral is continental heavyweight South Africa. International Relations Minister Nared Panda said that finding an endgame to the Ukraine war will be South Africa's focus when it participates in the annual meeting of the UN General Assembly next week.
Heads into the final of the two matches before the World Cup finals, knowing he needs a quick recap of the four.
That's two! That's two. The one on the side. Two at each end. One on the side. Have a listen.
The England manager Gareth Southgate heads into the final two matches before the World Cup finals, knowing he needs to quickly recapture the form of a team that is without a win in their last 4 games. Friday's Nations League encounter with Italy at Milan's San Siro Stadium, then Monday's visit of Germany to Wembley Stadium are the last 2 chances that Southgate will have to restore some of the positive vibes around his team. England and Southgate were jeered and booed off the field in June after collapsing to humiliating 4-0 home loss to Hungary, which followed draws with the Italians and Germans, and anyway loss to the Hungarians. Some have written off those Nations League results as an inevitable product of playing in minor competition at the end of a long season, but Southgate's more serious problems lay in the lack of form of several of his regular starters. Manchester United defenders Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw were key components in the team which reached the final of the Euros in 2021, but both have seen their disappointing form cost them places in starting lineups at their clubs. Southgate has shown belief in the pair by naming them in his squad for this month's games, but two other Manchester United players, forward Marcus Rashford and winger Jadon Sancho, have not been included. Chelsea left-back Ben Chilwell, the most obvious replacement for Shaw, has started only once in the Premier League for the London club, while central midfielder Calvin Phillips have also had limited minutes and misses out due to injury. Liverpool's Jordan Henderson, who has missed his club's last 3 games in all competitions through injury, has been given a late call-up to replace Phillips. The deadline for naming squads for the World Cup is November 13th. The tournament begins 7 days later, and England's first Group B match is against Iran on November 21st. England also face the United States and Wales in the tournament, which concludes with the final on December 18th. Innocent Nwamanya, GNTV Sports at 12.
Other sports and news, South Africa's Football Association is planning to abide the host of the 2017 Women's World Cup, according to the South African.
SAFA CEO Tebogo Motlane has come out to embrace South Africa's Football Association's bid to host the 2027 Women's World Cup. The decision to bid was made at the South African Football Association during the weekend Executive Council meeting. South Africa hosted the 2010 FIFA Men's World Cup, becoming the first and only African country to have hosted the prestigious competition. But it faces stiff competition from other bidders such as Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, which have already launched a shared bid for the 2027 tournament. The United States of America has indicated a desire to bid for 2027 and 2031 contest. South Africa had been in running for 2023 clash but pulled out in 2010. It hosted 64 matches during the month-long tournament in 10 stadiums. 5 were built from scratch and 5 received upgrades. The stadiums are now used by football and rugby teams. South Africa, Morocco, Zambia, and Nigeria are the African countries that have qualified for the 2023 WWC to be jointly hosted by Australia and New Zealand. Cameroon and Senegal among 10 teams who have qualified for playoffs, with 3 places up for grabs. Innocent Nwamanya, GNTV Sports at 12.
Thank you, our reporter, for that report sums up the afternoon's bulletin. Thank you so much for being part of the bulletin from the time we started up to the time we're wrapping up. My name is Winnie Kenimba.
This is GNTV, releasing life.
management ya Good News Television hamwe na Bishop Silas na Nicola Tayebwa nibeta abantu mwena okuja mukoro gokusima mukama no kujaguza myaka ebiri ombuhereza manyarika babitorobi niyo jonga turi kusima mukama turi kugira ngo eyo beneza naniwe ebyo byokwezi abana bishatu byakoze kwa mwenda 2022 okutandikana shashi tuzakasheshe King of Kings Church kamukuzi omurembo rwambarara naburawe utapirwa beshongozi bawe ba presenter ba wabakundwa akano mugenyi mukuru wekitinisa Michael Wagira wabingi bari kumanyaka Toyota na team MKU
za kugezaho ukuri kubashika reba byashyikiriza n'abana no kushemerwa n'imwe